Hi all, and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. This is the final show of the year, and we're going to have some fun tonight, so let's see how it goes. Hi all, and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. Let me just fix that mic because it's reverberating. Always does this when we have some guests on the show, so we'll just get that out of the way. Right, slightly different show with it being the last of the year. I've prepared a review of the show, of what's gone on this year, and there's a lot of hope going into the new year. There's a lot of sadness. We've gone through the gamut of emotions this year, but I'm going to show how much or how far we've come also, because I think perhaps at times we forget. So that'll be the gist of the show tonight. Like I said, there'll be some guests coming on at various times, mainly in the second hour, but it should be a good show. Right, where do we start? Headphones. Right, welcome to the show. This is the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. My name's Thomas Williams. We have a Facebook with the same name. So if you want to join Facebook, feel free to do so. I know there's a lot that don't like Facebook, but you'll find that our group is very, very different. Those that listen tonight will also realise perhaps why. So it's the group is different. We have a website for the foundation that will be coming up in 2017 called thepeoplesclub.org. So you're welcome to go and have a look at that, donate if you can, and hopefully we'll have some exciting news on that in the near future. I know people have been waiting, not as much as I have, but we may have some exciting news coming up fairly soon. So, Christmas festivities out the way. I hope you all stuffed your face with the bundles of chocolate and turkey and all the trimmings, and received a load of gifts that inappropriate, oversized sweaters and all that stuff that comes with Christmas, and extra pairs of socks. So it seems to be the way, the bizarre presents you get as you get older. So it's good. Right, we're going to go into some news. We may have some intel near the end of the first hour, but we'll see. So sounds good. Right, okay. Not much in the way of news. There's a reason for that. I'm going to cover that first. There's an awful lot going on behind the scenes, that famous the new saying again, behind the scenes, but there is a lot going on. There's a lot of meetings continuing, going on day by day into the night and the following day to get things ready for next year. As already been announced on this show, it will be the unraveling, and the life that we have had to endure will be unravelled into a more clearer picture and a better way of living, in my opinion. And I think that's the way we need to go. So there's lots of banging heads together going on currently. You're seeing some bits of it in the news where certain prime ministers and certain presidents are being threatened, and here's one: the United Nations Security Council, or the acting United Nations Security Council. Bear in mind, the UN is not a sovereign entity anymore, and so has no ability to pass any resolutions or do anything. But they've finally passed some sort of resolution urging an end to illegal Israeli settlements. That was after the US refused to veto it. which is a first. That's again something different that's taking place this year that hasn't took place previously. We're going to see a lot more of that coming up. So it was drafted by the Egyptian government and has been withdrawn after Israel asked Donald Trump to intervene, but it was proposed again by Malaysia, New Zealand, Senegal and Venezuela. Now, as I just said, the US traditionally sheltered Israel from any resolutions in the past, and that would appear to no longer be the case. Mr. Netanyahu said he would not abide by the vote. Well, he's never abided by anything, and it's time for certain groups and certain peoples to remove him from society, in my opinion. I don't think it'll be too long. The Palestinian leadership welcomed the resolution, which was passed by 14 votes to 0 with 1 abstention. President-elect Trump, who will be inaugurated on January the 20th, tweeted after the vote. He seems to like that tweeting, doesn't he? As to the UN, things will be different after January the 20th. I'll repeat that again. As to the UN, things will be different after January the 20th. This is, again, going back to what we said in previous shows, that certain organisations will no longer be allowed to carry on in the format that they have been doing for many decades. So they may well be repurposed into something that is befitting a new society. The UN itself, there's nothing particularly wrong with it. It's the entities that are running it and operating and controlling it. You know, the UN could go in and fix many things with so we don't need standing armies, particularly from this country, being the world's police. We just allocate a number of our soldiers to operate in a proper peace force. And if we stop goose-stepping and claiming land and resources and shared it all out, then there would be no need for wars. Well, maybe in the future. So the issue of the Jewish settlements is one of the most contentious between Israel and the Palestinians, who see them as an obstacle to peace. About 500,000 Jews live in about 140 settlements that has been built since Israel's 1967 occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The settlements are considered illegal under international law, although Israel disputes this. Not the peoples, it's the Zionist movement who disputes it. The peoples have had enough. There's far more demonstrations going on in Israel against its government and the Zionist movement than people realise. You won't get it on the news here because of certain Zionist news media, but they're not happy, and they want an end to the violence, as do the Palestinians. And if Israel should be forced, in my opinion, to return to the 1967 borders, and until the peoples can gain a trust with each other, and then there shouldn't be any borders, shouldn't be any need for it. Borders are put there for divide and conquer of the people. That's all. Countries, you know, I mentioned last week about our culture. We don't have a culture. We have a program called culture. What we need is that the people come together, regardless of race, creed, religious. You know, it doesn't matter. We're all in the same boat. We're all on the same planet. We mainly all want the same things. Once you break down the barriers, and I'm hoping 2017 will see a marked improvement in that. So Mr. Netanyahu says Israel rejects the shameful anti-Israel resolution at the UN and will not abide by its terms. Well, hopefully the UN will take note of that and not abide by the shameful anti-Israel humanity Mr. Netanyahu stands for, and not abide by his terms and remove him from office, period. And anyone else who thinks that they can mess with people's lives on the basis of political ideology. North Korea springs to mind, North and South Korea. Same thing, it's just the East version of Israel and Palestine. It's Korea, it's one country, not North and South, it's just divide and conquer again. So hopefully the UN, as Mr. Trump hinted at, will be slightly different, well, will be radically different after January the 20th. So a lot of things coming up there. Right, where are we next? The FBI is investigating how hackers infiltrated computers at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, for several years, beginning in 2010, in a breach senior FDIC officials believe was sponsored by China's military. You have to laugh, don't you? You know, first it was the Russians, now it's the Chinese. But I notice there's no mention of GCHQ in Britain, or the NSA, or the DHS, sorry. But now it's China's military. People with knowledge of the matter said that it was the Chinese military. The security breach, in which hackers gained access to dozens of computers, including the workstation of former FDIC chairwoman Sheila Bair, also has been the target of a probe by a congressional committee. The FDIC is one of 3 federal agencies that regulate commercial banks in the United States. Well, they don't regulate too well, do they? So do we really need them? It oversees confidential plans for how big banks would handle bankruptcy, and has access to records on millions of individuals of American deposits. If they look deeper, the FBI, and I know some of them listen to this show, they may find it was not the military, but the Asian faction. Something to bear in mind. London has decided to ramp up the fear porn, and now deciding to create a new ring of steel costing £5 million, which is roughly about $6 million at the moment, has been proposed to protect the skyscrapers in London Square Mile from terrorist attacks. I would propose a ring of steel and block them all in, personally, that Square Mile, because that's where most of the terrorist attacks originate from. They're talking about operating manned checkpoints, rising steel bollards, and crash-proof barricades are among the measures being proposed. What they don't tell you is that you'll probably be polling booths where you have to pay to get in. They've already tried that once. That's the next money-making scheme out of London. So it follows advice from MI5 and the Counter-Terrorism Police. A Corporation of London report said they had identified that the area was highly sensitive to a hostile vehicle-borne security threat. It's funny how they don't mention how they're a hostile threat to the rest of the planet from that Square Mile, but that seems to get overlooked. The advice comes in the wake of the Berlin Christmas market terror attack on Monday, which Tunisian, allegedly, Anis Amri drove a lorry at Choppers, killing 12 and injuring 49. A bit like the Paris attacks. Same thing, same people. The Ring of Steel is believed to be the best way to protect the heart of London's financial district. London's first Ring of Steel was a response to IRA bonds in the Baltic Exchange in Bishopsgate back in 1992. So it's yet again an example how they believe they can spend the public's money to protect the heart of London's financial district. What about the people? No mention of protecting the people, just the banks. That has to change. The Pope. For those of you who haven't seen the picture yet, of all the places to kiss the replica of the baby Jesus, that is not the region to be kissing, one would think, given some of the atrocities of pedophilia that's come out of the Catholic Church. Not a good thing to do. Anyway, he denounced the continuing suffering of children at the Pope Mass and Saturday's Mass celebrating the birth of Jesus, which is not correct, given that the very same Pope announced 3 years ago that Jesus wasn't born on Christmas Day. So why do they keep repeating the same false narrative is beyond me, but that's the way they do things. Is the first major event of the Christmas season for the Pope. During the service he said Christmas had been taken hostage by materialism and that the season needed more humility. I would suggest they look in the mirror. Throughout the past year, the Pope has urged compassion towards refugees, urging Christians to remember that Jesus himself was a migrant. Yep, I can't disagree with that. It's like I keep saying on the page, all those people who were saying we don't want Muslims in America, and we don't want Syrians, and we don't want Romanians and other Eastern Europeans in the UK. How can you be an immigrant on your own planet? Please stop that shit. It's not helping us. It's just more divide and conquer by the cabal. See it for what it is. Go and research. We did a show last year, the Faction Show, where it laid out the prophecy, which really means plan, of the cabal for World War III, citing the Christians against the Muslims. That was their plan for World War III. You know, they told you what they intended to do. Ultimately, it's failed, like most of their other plans have failed. But we're still seeing far too many people thinking Muslims are the issue. They're not. Get over it. You've been duped again into the false boogeyman. The problem we have here is mainly white European banksters and bloodline families and royals and all that hierarchical crap. Nothing to do with Muslims. In fact, you'll find out of all the factions there isn't one single Muslim, Asian, Zionist, Nazi, P2 Lodge, and the Jesuits. Not one's Muslim. So why are we blaming Muslims? Think about it. Right, before the review, something came to me yesterday before we go into the year review. The people often ask, there was a question that I missed a couple of weeks ago, why is the internet so prevalent when it can be used against them? Well, they didn't plan it that way, but it's gone that way. The term internet, you look at the wording and what they've used. Inter means to bury. So they intended to bury you in the net via the web. Think about that. The chip they call that are in most computers, Intel, that goes in via the port. Maritime law again. docking. So it's Intel via the port where they can access the sheep's memory. What do you mean by sheep's memory? RAM. Their word magic again. Intel via the port where we can access the sheep's memory, RAM, and monitor it via the monitor. Something to think about. Right. Where are we? 8:30. I spent a lot of the last week kind of going over what has happened this year, and this is basically covering most things that have took place over the year. Of course, this time last year we had the end of the year show with Cosmic Voice and Drake, and on that show I announced that there would be a premonition for 2016 would be the year of the apocalypse, to reveal the hidden, and things would get very confusing and convoluted. I think we can all agree on that those predictions were pretty much on the money and a bit more. Like I said, the bulk of listeners from this show was listening to myself and Drake this time last year, but sadly this year saw an end to that relationship, courtesy of some who choose to destroy, lie and cheat the public rather than support service to others and humanity. Too busy protecting their own interests, I and others were beginning to expose. Now, chucking me out of Cosmic Voice was one thing. I knew that was coming, as I'd said too much and was getting too close to their games. So if I was the fall guy, then I could live with that. I always said I will stay the truth and I will call it as is. Sometimes it takes a bit of time and you have to wait for the right time to announce certain things. Well, Mr. Keenan made the mistake of reading out an Asian faction script, which this author was privy to reading 3 weeks prior. I knew where it came from, and once he read that out I couldn't hold back any longer, but neither could they. Mr. Keenan and his team, along with Dean Chambers, Drake and David Wilcock, discussed removing me from Cosmic Voice until 5 AM in the morning, 2 days before I was removed. You know, it was a very sad time and still upset some people. Not me, but things move on. I did what I thought was the right thing to do, but I knew the consequences. But what I found most distasteful in the episode was the booting of Chloe, Holly, James and Victoria, who all had put in many hours of their time to support all the members of Cosmic Voice, and all were rather callously dismissed without warning, and that, more than anything, angered me than my own booting. You know, I was in control of my own destiny. I could have chose to sit back and ignore that information. I chose not to. We've had enough of being lied to, and we're in a time where the truth is more convenient again. Too often it was more convenient to follow the lie. Well, Mr. Keenan spent the next few months backtracking on all his May the 4th intel, so kudos to him for having the courage to do that, and one hopes he sees the light in 2017 before it's too late. Following the end of Cosmic Voice for myself and the admins, I was going to take some time out for myself, as it had been more and more of a hectic life I've had since ballpark 2012 onwards, with busy and at times a rather difficult private life. The CV show, the page, the CV private support that was done, all done behind the scenes, certain think tank groups, and certain night travel work as well. So it makes life almost 24/7 for me at times. But the calls and the messages that I kept receiving from the members who wanted me to go again, like yesterday. So I mean, it was a strange time, because I did wonder whether I personally had sufficient effect to still be wanted by the members after Drake and CB. You know, at the end of the day, it's Drake's show. You know, I was the co-host, so I was wondering whether I'd had sufficient effect for the people to still want me and not just wanted to follow Drake. But the call was kind of overwhelming, and I have to say a source of much pride for myself personally that so many wanted me to do my own show and also do a new page. I will always be grateful to Drake. He gave me the platform to start my journey of imparting my knowledge and insight into life and world events. We do still speak. I don't speak to Mr. Keenan. I don't think I ever will. I don't think he has anything to offer for me or anybody else personally, but I do have time for Drake. He was put in a very poor position. Did he handle it well? I think he has admitted himself. Perhaps he could have dealt with it better. But certain people, Mr. Wilcock in particular, wields a big stick. You'll hear more about that in 2017. But out of the ashes of Cosmic Voice rose a new group, similar to the previous one, but without the angst and divisiveness that the latter part of Cosmic Voice stood for. Some prefer this show and its format, some still prefer Cosmic Voice, and some still like both, all of which is good to me. But I personally felt the show was getting a bit stale, and there was becoming too many conflicting opinions on world events between Drake and I, and things were starting to get very confusing for the listeners. Doing my own show, in essence, has removed the shackles in some aspects to allow a more free-flowing show that relies heavily on consistency. This show has kind of gone from strength to strength over the 7 or so months it's been operating, and gaining a far wider and deeper audience, which is highly encouraging to me and also the people on the page. Now, with regards to the group, myself and the admins set out to generate the new group in a way that was more conducive to a community spirit group under the banner of operating in truth, honour and integrity. This group fills me with joy how it operates, with you all supporting in a caring and sharing manner befitting of the group. Next year we will endeavour to expand that out into the wider community via the People's Club. Now, the People's Club was formed in May this year, and all the legal paperwork, the website and the other costs associated with the setup of it were all born out of the canned donations many of you sent in to me to set it all up. Special thanks has to go to Chloe for doing much of the paperwork, and special thanks to Mike Joaquin, who undertook the task of doing the website for the group. Drake also contributed. He donated all of his book money that was outstanding, $480, towards it as well. That needs to be mentioned, as despite the disappointing aspect relating to the end of CV, Drake still donated that money to the foundation, and kudos to Drake. Now, following what seemed like a long drawn out episode, the IRS gave us the 501c3 tax exempt status, and a letter stating that the designation of such is up on the website called thepeoplesclub.org. Please go and check that out, and if you can donate, please do so, and also send in your proposals for any help that you would require, or any ideas that you may have that could be funded in 2017, or if you just want to volunteer your time. And like I said earlier, I'm hoping to make some announcements on this matter early next year. Early in March, I was invited to go on a radio show that was kind of close to my birthplace, called Open Your Mind Radio, and that has proven to be a great invite, as I then got to get our message out to a wider audience. But more importantly to me, I also found two other guys I felt I could trust in the community. These are the two lads who seem to don't have a surname, so they decided to allocate themselves two first names. But they're really cool guys, Stephen George and Alan James. I don't know whether they've even got surnames. Perhaps that's the new way they do things in Ireland these days. But Alan and Steve, do absolutely fantastic work in Ireland in helping the homeless, etc. And are largely unsung heroes who, in my opinion, have done more in 6 to 7 years in Ireland than the Bonos have ever done. So special thanks for them too for their input this year, and the previous years as well. And I'm hoping they will get much more support for their work in the coming year. I did 2 other shows this year, one with Shane the Runer, the podcast, the second one, and also we had the show with Shane in July, and also another podcast show with Randy Morgans. Both of these people mean an awful lot to me personally, and have assisted me greatly in various ways behind the scenes. They're two good guys, you know, and they go through, like myself, go through difficult times, being upfront, so to speak. Sometimes people forget we have a private life as well, and it can be difficult. You know, all 3 of us have done much in the last 12 months to expose some of the rogue elements in the alternative media. That gets you attacked, and all 3 of us have been attacked in various ways this year. Shane has. Randy is still getting attacked by rampaging women, and of course back in May I was issued a death threat by Mr. Keenan and his team. So yeah, so kudos to those two. Those two have mean a lot to me. I did have other offers to go on other shows, but I choose to select who I engage with. I seek people who actually resonate with me rather than just be some self-promotional sideshow. It's important to me that people have integrity and not agenda-driven. Too many, as we have found out, are agenda-driven, and I don't like it. And so I pick and choose who I deal with in the community. Another person we had on who's good to listen to as well, and you will be hearing more from her in the new year, is Lily Earthlink. That girl has a lot of knowledge, some of which I received 2 years later in my night travels, and it was extraordinary talking to her and comparing notes, how close they were. So she's preparing some new material for next year, and I'm hoping that she'll be on the show early in the year. In late February, seemed a long time ago now, I was contacted privately to speak to a group unfamiliar to me at the time with an offer to help the cause. And I have to say, initially, I was rather sceptical to say the least, and spent many hours questioning and asking for proof of what was being relayed to me and who these people were, what they stand for. And these people would later become known as the Foundation people. I'm hoping in 2017 Those people will have names and faces, perhaps, we'll see. And following what was fairly lengthy discussions over Skype, they asked me would I take on the task of setting up a foundation for the people in America, whereby some funds from the real global trust fund accounts would be released to the foundation for me to disperse to the people of America to ease the burdens imposed on all of us in this country. Now, it's not, whilst the foundation connected to this show is mainly for America, those funds are for all the people, and eventually the funds will go out to other countries. Some have already, substantial funds have already gone out to help certain countries and certain peoples, from tribal peoples. But eventually it will go out to all once the rogue elements have been removed. Hopefully we may see that sooner rather than later. So my main contact from the foundation people later on in the year came in on a rather special show we did in August, known as the UPU show. She went under the name of Kay. I expect we will be made more aware of who she is and what she stands for in the coming year, once certain things have been accomplished. The foundation people have largely been responsible for most of the intel provided into the shows, and we thank them for choosing our group to release that information. Eventually the information will just be all over the place. So, but at the moment it's still coming through largely through our show. But the UPU show was kind of extraordinary in many ways. I don't think many of us will forget the excitement of listening to the responses from the council and that extraordinary language we all got to hear for the first time, which was expertly translated by M and A, and I would expect and hope you will hear some extraordinary news from them coming up in 2017. This year in the alternative community has led to some rearranging of the decks, which largely resembled the Titanic. The band of fiddlers thought they could play on, but they thought wrong. Many of the deceivers in the community have been exposed for who and what they are. Liars, cheats, deceivers, and the worst aspect for me is the paid cabal operatives, the so-called controlled opposition. Now they might choose to call them that name. Me personally, I have a different name for those people. Humanity sellouts of the worst kind. The cabal, they play their games. We all know that now, but most of us are aware of who and what they are and what they get up to. Largely they're born out of bloodlines, born into families, royalty, religious hierarchical systems, hybrids and ET control systems, and many of them have had little option but to play their game. Some don't like it. Many have left their game this year. Many of their underlings have left. But what I particularly find heinous is outside of all that structure is people playing the game for them. You know, the game has been stacked against us enough without these so-called controlled opposition and paid cabal operatives interacting their special, as in short bus special kind of bullshittery. You know, I'm kind of reluctant to name all the names exposed, but the most disappointing one for me was Wilcock. Don't make the mistake of thinking it's all down to Corey Good and his bullshittery. Far from it. I expect those who doubt that call will be left in no doubt during 2017, as more regarding who and what Wilcock is will be revealed. Some have decided in the alternative media to quit this year, citing various excuses, but reality is too many people were onto them and their games. I expect the rest, or most of the rest, to follow and step down next year. Their time is up. Now, what took place this year? Or in case what never took place? Well, some learned new catchwords like bullshittery and drivel. I know you all love that word. People keep asking them about it, and it's caused much hilarity. And it's even gone into circulation into the higher level meetings I'm hearing, which is kind of amusing to me. But we all need a good laugh now and again. And doing my own show has brought out more of the humour my birthplace is well noted for back in the UK. Life's serious, and some of the things that takes place in the world, they are depressing, and people get stressed out and depressed and end up on medication, but laughter takes all that away. Even if it's only for a few minutes, you make someone laugh, it ends the depression or the drudgery of the day. So I'm hoping we will have a lot more fun this year. Anyway, unless something dramatic happens in the next 48 hours, the fabled Nibiru never arrived to doom us into oblivion again. One has to ask, what is the mindset of those people who keep trying to push people into fear with this narrative? Yes, that's you, Mr. Fake Alex Collier in particular. 3 times he's changed his tune on that particular item this year. In my opinion, the brown dwarf that these people talk about are the small drops of turd coming out of their butt cracks when they speak. It's a pile of crap. We've been saying this for 4 years. Don't listen to the Nibiru. It's bullshit. Ignore it and move on. Go and learn something that's far more useful to you than people spouting fear porn. The cabal's frequent plans to crash the markets for the Asian and US faction repeatedly failed, as forecast on this show. Their plans to crash the dollar also came to a grinding halt in November at great cost to their own personal fortunes via short betting. Oops. Again, this show stated it wouldn't happen. The crash dollar, that is. And we mustn't forget the 200 to 300 attempts this year to implement the famous Internet RV, which repeatedly failed again, as also stated would happen on this show. I've no doubt they will continue early into the new year with it, but the Internet RV, regurgitated vomit, it's not happening. Dinar, dongs, Zims, it's all another plan by the cabal to refloat their funds and to wipe out their debt and then cause real tyranny on us. Don't fall for it. The US factions in particular made a number of attempts to implement an oil-backed currency via the dinar. That also failed again this year. And due to influence of good guys in financial circles, their high-based oil prices to aid shale oil drilling also failed badly this year and will continue to do so. World War III also failed to materialise despite some alternative media personalities pushing it to the fore. It won't happen. It can't happen. It never will happen. Get used to it. I know most of our listeners are comfortable with that now. They also tried some space rock throwing exercises earlier on this year, and that failed also. So no asteroid doomsday scenarios materialised again this year, as was forecast. Now, something dropped off the fear porn map this year, and people are going to go, oh yeah, forgot about that. Same. After repeatedly telling people for the last 3 to 4 years that sin would not cause an issue, and it would, and has failed, finally this year it went off the fear porn radar, and hopefully it never raised its ugly head again. So it shows when you ignore it how they'll change the fear porn. Keep ignoring all of it, they have no programs left. The fabled Blue Beam program, that reared its ugly head again this year. The show again discounted it, saying it wouldn't take place. We did report it twice because they give certain dates for it to take place, but it failed. But yeah, again, it never stopped some of the clowns in the alternative media pushing it to the fore. Another thing that kind of faded into the background this year, the Flat Earth program never got the bite out of the community the agency who created it desired. That has largely fell off the globe this year, so good luck to that. Maybe next year we'll get a video of one of the Flat Earth people going to the edge of the earth and jumping off, and we can all see what it looks like. The fear porn factor was over the year was kind of funny. After an attack on some of the main protagonists in the community, things went considerably quieter this year, but ramped up again since the cabal failed to win a one-horse race called the US election. And the same clowns who were out in force in 2012 returned again, almost from stasis this year, to push us back into fear mode, and also try to loop us back into that timeline. That's important for people to understand that. They tried to loop us back into that timeline. Again, it's failed. Asian faction takeover failed. 3 times they threatened the US government, 3 times it failed. Nazi faction takeover, it failed. The new Fed, it failed. Hitler, now dead of course, since September the 4th, signing off on all American resources to foreign entities, with her now no longer in place, or alive for that matter. That will fail, and has failed also. Mr. Obama and his 3rd term plan that he wheeled out late in October, it failed. Martial law that many of the community have been pushing us into, down our throats. Oh, we're all going to die, martial law, blah blah blah. No, it failed. Dakota pipeline, the people wielded their power, it failed. I'm expecting a finality announcement on the whole of the Dakota pipeline after January the 20th. Not a continuation, but an end. You may just hear about some new technology that people have been talking about. Alright, we're at the top of the hour. That went rather quick. I've still got more to cover, for which I'll do in the second hour of a review of this year. But maybe that was a good one to end on. The Dakota pipeline failed because of the people. The people show the way, and they have. Right, here's a song for Ben Pam and all the militia. We'll be back shortly. Bye for now. Hi all, and welcome back to the second hour. We're not going to sit in silence. We're not going to live in fear. No, we're not. And neither should we. And next year will be different in that aspect. I'm just going to finish off the last portion of 2016. I have more of a review of what's coming up next year. Some encouraging things for people to look out for. But this year has been difficult for many in the community, as they have found out that some they have been following are not what they are made out to be. Personally, I find it very sad. There were so many revealed to be agenda driven, but we leave 2016 with a much better and clearer picture of who is who and what is what, and that will reap its benefits going forward. Once you know, these people, all of us that listen to this show have chosen the more difficult path, to not accept the norm, not accept the control system, not accept the version of reality or history. We see things in a different way. And like I said earlier, what I find distasteful is some of the ones who have jumped on that path and tried to send people sideways, all for fame and wealth. I have much to be ashamed about in the coming days, weeks and months, and we'll leave them to it. But we have got a more clearer picture of who is who and what is what. Now, sadly, this year also saw an increase for many of you in family and relationship and friend issues, as the divide between the two worlds became more clear to some. Those known as the sleepers, some will eventually awaken from their slumber, but some won't. Remember, you must remember, that is their path, not yours. You have to remember that. Each soul that are left in here has its own individual path. You know, it's not, let's drag them along. It's not doing that soul any good. It mightn't be their choice. So family and relationship lines do not always follow at this time. Bear that in mind in 2017. Holding on to the lie has been the downfall of all of us, as it was too convenient, but increasingly now, and very encouragingly from my point of view, is people are seeking the truth for what it is in its rawest form. Not just because it comes from some personality. Critical thinking in particular has increased amongst our group and many outside, and this course of action is vital to our future. We can't just keep accepting their narrative. We have to analyse it and critical think. Questioning things is what has brought us all together. We all know this world is upside down and it's backward. We refuse to accept the bullshittery anymore and recognise it far more readily than any other time in history. Bear that in mind as well. This is a source of encouragement to us all. We recognise the fun and games and the bullshittery that they've been playing more so now than any other time in history. Me personally, I feel we've all learnt a lot more this year than any other year. There's now a much clearer pathway, and that should not be lost on those listening tonight. The benefits of that will be enormous going forward. 2016 has laid the path to a brighter future. The apocalypse did take place, with devastating consequences for the cabal. The number of failures of their plans this plan and that plan reported on our show alone has shown they no longer can totally ride roughshod over we the people. We are and have fought back, and many of their plans are now rendered obsolete. Their control structure collapsed this year. Do they still pose a threat? Yes, they will. Of that there is no doubt, but a diminishing one. They seem to spend more time now on defensive moves via what has become the more and more ridiculous looking attempts at false flags, particularly in Europe, and even from the even more hilarious fake news pieces, all designed to confuse you, except it's not confusing anyone but themselves. It's making them look ridiculous, much to our amusement. So 2016, whilst it's been difficult, has been an extraordinary year in many aspects. All the major plans failed. Many of them can't be repeated in 2017. In fact, all of them. So, whilst individually many of us have had difficult times, myself included, on the bigger picture, 2016 has been extraordinary, and we will look forward to 2017 with much more hope of a brighter future than we did when we started. So I'm going to cover some more later on in the show, but I'm going to bring the first guest on now. Bear with me a minute. This is Michael Joaquin, and Michael's been doing the website, and I'm going to bring up people on who have been a help to the group this year, if I can get him online. The joys. Where are we? Hang on a minute. Let me put his mic on. Hang on a minute, Michael.
5559 is not available.
Not
At
available.
the tone.
Oh well. Well, maybe we can get Michael on again shortly. You may have got stage fright. So, who can we bring on next? Holly, I think. Let's get Holly on. And we'll leave Michael till later. Right, where is she? The joys of live TV. Hi, Holly.
Hi, Tommy.
Right, let me just get the headphones now. They've been reverberating because of these the outside calls, but I can hear you now. So once again, Holly, it's been a difficult year for us this year with the fallout of CV, and it was kind of disappointing. But we've kind of gone from strength to strength, don't you think, with the new group, and you've been largely responsible for that. So I'd like to thank you personally for that.
Well, yeah, you're right. It has been. It's been fantastic with our group, and thank you. Also, yeah, you're right. I can hear double. Is there some way I can avoid that?
Yes, I can hear double, but I've no idea why.
I can hear double. Is there some way I can avoid that?
Have you got the computer on? You may need to turn your volume down.
Do I need headphones?
Have you got the computer on? You may need to turn your volume down. Yeah, it's. I can hear it. You may have to turn the show down just mute the show on your player.
Then how will I hear you?
You'll hear me through the headphones.
I don't have headphones on, but I can go get them really quickly.
Okay.
All right. I don't have headphones on, but I can go get them.
Right. Where are we? So yeah, towards the end of the show, I'm going to cover what's going to take place in 2017, and we're going to have some more guests on in this hour. Hopefully we'll get Michael on, and one or two others that should be interesting. And we're hoping that next year we'll see a change with the shows. There's a lot going on in January, particularly starting on January the 1st, where a lot of certain treaties that have been negated, cancelled, ripped up, are being thrashed out currently. That's going to provide a better future for us all. So there's some extraordinary projects that are being arranged currently in the background. I'm hoping throughout January you will start hearing via this show some of the things that are coming out in the coming year. Are you there, Holly?
I'm here.
Good. So
I can still hear an echo, but it's not as loud.
Right, okay. Maybe it's me because it's coming through the headphones.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah. The joys of live radio. So, you were saying, Holly, just before you went off, I wanted to thank you personally for the help you've given both in Cosmic Voice this year and also THI. It was sad what happened, but maybe sometimes things happen for the better, but you don't always know until time passes. But it certainly seems to have gone better, rather well for us all after that rather sad day back in May.
Absolutely. Yeah, this year has been tumultuous and downright devastating for a lot of us. But I have to say, aside from that, the success of the Truth, Honor, and Integrity group, as well as the show, has exceeded my expectations. The peace I gained as an admin from the transition from Cosmic Voice to THI alone was a complete and utter joy. Seriously, my life calmed down literally overnight. The shill, troll, and agent bullshittery went from a screaming 200 miles per hour to 0 in a matter of minutes. That alone was a huge relief for me. In addition to that, some of you that were members of CV followed us to THI. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to you for your support. It was most welcome. But you didn't stop there. You continued to not only support us, but you stepped up and welcomed new members, members from CV, and you modeled the golden rule and treated others the way you wish to be treated. You helped each other out with information, links, and truly caring hearts. You wished each other happy birthday. You prayed for each other when one was going through struggles. You rallied around those who lost loved ones and suffered economic woes. And thankfully, you helped us admins by being the best you could possibly be, by honoring, respecting, and loving one another. It has given our group a most unique and delicious flavor. Many of you have shared your stories of your experiences, your heartaches, your struggles, and your successes. And you continue to rally and support each other. I couldn't be prouder of the growth, the stamina, and the true compassion that you have shown. I'm so very honored and deeply grateful that I have come to know so many of you, albeit in cyberspace only. What a truly lovely group of fantastic people you are. Now, let me take a few minutes to sing the praises of someone else. This guy, what's his name? Oh, Thomas Williams. You know, he's got that Scouser accent, and he makes up his own words like bullshittery. But I really want to take this opportunity to say a few words about this truly incredible guy who somewhat reluctantly or very much reluctantly allowed himself to be pulled into this public scenario. Tommy's been through a lot. Hell, that's putting it pretty mildly. He has, as many of you know, lost a hell of a lot by choosing this path. And I know that it is true, as he has said, that he would do it all again because, quote, it's the right thing to do, unquote. I know he doesn't want credit, nor does he want the attention, but I think he deserves some recognition now and then. He works 40 to 50 hours a week at a day job, sometimes more than that, helps members at nights and on weekends, stays in touch with Intel folks and the current news, does a weekly radio show, including preparation for that, does otherworldly tasks, works on foundation matters, and who knows what else, all while trying to have some sort of a personal life, which I do know has suffered fairly harshly as well. I think I can speak for most of us and offer our heartfelt gratitude to him for all that he has done. And on a personal note, I want to say, thank you, Tommy, for your truth, your honesty, and your integrity. Thank you for always having my back. Thank you for your trust in me. And most of all, thank you for being such a good friend. I would just like to ask listeners, if you are willing, please keep his safety and well-being in your thoughts and prayers, as well as all of those involved in the freedom movement. Finally, as we approach what we have all been looking forward to from day one, just a few reminders. Remember to continue to live the golden rule. No matter how you are tested or how much you feel frustrated, to thine own self be true. Remember, as Tanath and Tommy have said many times, never put anyone above your own heart. Remember that you are creating your own life in every moment. You are the creator. Remember to go within for your own answers. Looking outside of yourself will not satisfy your authentic self. Nobody knows what is best for you better than you do. What do you feel is right for you? Remember, no limits. You are only limited if you say you are. Remember, chaos stands for confused and hidden avenues to order and success. When you're in chaos or out of balance, stop and take 3 deep breaths. Change your vibrational frequency. Do something that makes you feel good about yourself. Not something that makes you feel good, but something that makes you feel good about yourself. Something that lifts you up. And then hang on to that feeling for as long as you can. Remember that when you act in your own best and highest good, it is ultimately in the best and highest good of all. Because when you are at your best and coming from love, that energy emanates from you and others can and will pick up on it. Remember that fear equals false evidence appearing real. Stick to the facts. Don't allow conjecture or anxiety to rule. Our fears rarely, if ever, turn out to be as horrible as we envision them to be. Lastly, remember, what you perceive defines what you receive. I'm not a big fan of old Henry Ford, but one thing he said is absolutely true. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So, what do you want? Make it so. Be truthful, be honest, and practice integrity. Be kind and respectful to yourself and others. And most of all, know you are not alone. I want to thank you all, and let's continue to stand together as we move forward into 2017.
Well, I've only got one thing to do for that. One thing to say, I should say. It's humbling to me. I've said it many, many times. That the group and our group, I don't care what anyone says, our group is different. We've made Facebook work against itself. Facebook is for their control, but they can't control our group.
Indeed.
They just can't. So you can always take a bad thing and use it for a good purpose. 2017, we'll see more of that. The UN will be repurposed for a good purpose. Maybe even the Federal Reserve may be repurposed, or it may be shut down. Time will tell. Many of the cabal, as I said earlier, have stepped down and are now helping us. Actually helping us. A huge number. So, like I said many times this year, the good are not always good, and the bad are not always bad either. It's about coming to the balance. Our group is balanced. It's caring, it's sharing. They look after each other. If you don't like Facebook, come and experience our group. It's a different experience to anywhere else. And that's thanks to Holly, thanks to James Godbeer, who couldn't be on tonight. Too late for him, being in the UK. Unfortunately, Victoria is not too well at the moment, but we must give special thanks to those two. Victoria, who lives in the UK, does the chat show from 1 till 4 a.m. every Thursday. Well, Friday morning for her. Every week. Some weeks she forgets. But, so do I. So, she's not alone with that. Sharon Lanyon forgets days as well. So, hi Sharon. So, you know, it's not just about me. It never was about me. It's about all of us. And that's, this group will go forward. And I'll have a piece on what is our group, because many of you will know the term, but not realise what it means in 2017, the way showers. So that will be coming up in the final hour towards the end of the show. So thank you once again, Holly. And I do believe we have Michael on. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, good. Hi, Thomas. I think I was sitting on the mute button.
So,
I don't know how this thing works.
For listeners and people who don't know you, he's known as Michael HTML on the page. Michael has done a fantastic job of by himself, doing the website for the peoplesclub.org. And so I wanted to bring him on and say thanks to him tonight. He will continue. The website will get a lot busier in 2017. I'm hoping very early 2017. And so thanks to Michael. You want to say a few things, Michael?
Sure, just real quick. I guess I would like to say I definitely appreciate the opportunity you've given me to construct this website. This project is just more than I could have ever expected. And that's the way it's turned out. This is a way for me to just help more people than I could ever do on my own. And it's been real fun, and I'm just looking forward to when this whole thing just goes wide open, and it's going to be wild. And I'd also like to say to everyone at Th&I, this group has given so many people an avenue to be heard and speak their stories without any judgment, and that's very important to a lot of people, including myself. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, to you, Thomas, and to all your admins.
Yes. Right. Thank you for that, Michael, and thanks to Holly also. We'll be having more guests on shortly, including a couple of surprise ones. Right, where are we next? Right, okay. Bear with me 1 second. Right, I'm just gonna. There we go. Oh, right. Try again. Ooh, that's not working. One more time.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Here's a voice from the past. Not the distant past, thankfully. But,
yeah.
There's our person who's been the partner to me, my kind of rock in many ways, and she did a lot of the foundation paperwork that's ready to come to fruition, and also was the co-host of the show for a while.
Yeah. And I enjoyed doing the paperwork. It was a real stretch for me, and I really enjoyed doing the website design with Michael. I gave him a lot of pointers, and he made it all happen, and that was amazing. And I just came back. You all know that I went back to Canada to finish this WorkSafe training, and ended up, sort of going through school and, refinding myself. And some of those courses are going to be useful. And I've come back here to another job that I'm going to enjoy a lot better than the one I had there for about a week. And I'm happy to be back home with Tommy. I am back in Florida. So that was me. You heard in the background a few people on the last show. Good ears. It's been a wild year, and it's kind of really interesting to hear your synopsis of it, Tommy.
Yeah, we've learnt a lot, I feel, this year. We've cleared the path needed to be cleared, and it has been cleared.
Yeah,
and,
it has been.
We're looking forward to 2017. How do you think 2017 could or should go?
Well, let's see. The year of apocalypse, the unveiling of more of each of ourselves. It's been quite a ride. What can we expect in the next year? Oh, well, I think more getting used to knowing ourselves more than we ever have before. while we navigate all the changes we're going to see out in the world, out in the politics, out in society. And I think there's going to be a lot more inner work. I was definitely knocked on my bottom over this last 6 months, all on very personal levels. And, we need to give ourselves credit and be easy on ourselves and give ourselves not self-forgiveness more, but just space to just be, just breathe and try to not take everything so seriously. That's what I got hung up on a lot this last year. And so this next year is going to be a lot more growth in terms of people becoming more centered, more strong, and more able to navigate the changes that are yet to come.
Yes. The waves having an effect.
Definitely.
And that's been shown not only in our group but globally. There's a sea of change taking place, not only on political level or a cosmic level, on the planetary level. Your thoughts on that?
Well, how I've sort of felt it, it's like I wrote lots of papers on the, chakras and what I more likely term as energy centers, and I feel like the wave has been connecting to us in an organic fashion, but it's been coming from within, from the planet up through our organicness, and it's coming up within us, and it's been clearing out very old stuff in our energy centers. And that at times has, it ebbs and flows. It's like little mini waves, little sips of, here's a little bit more of yourself that you need to look at. And then you kind of level off and you get a sense of calm. Because I've had a couple of times of it, particularly after about a month after being in Canada, I had a calmness come over me. I missed Tommy like crazy, but I had this calmness that I don't think I could have found unless I was just doing school and sticking to simple things. I didn't have a whole lot else going on around me. And then after that calmness, it's still with me now, and it's going to stay. But then I had more sips of this inner wave kind of clearing up more old stuff, and it's very hard to put to words. It's very, I found myself drawing more and gardening more and having, like hearing my quiet inner voice going, just take some breaths, it's a really deep process that we're going through to come back to our organic inner soul growth again, because we've been kind of majorly derailed from it. And there's a lot, like the apocalypse, the revealing the hidden, the external is a mirror reflection externally of what's going on inside, and what's been hidden from us is a lot of things that we need to come back to embracing and loving about ourselves, and it has to do with ways we reacted to situations and things that happened to us, and that place is an in-between. It's an in-between place. It's like it's very water orientated. Like between cells is cytoplasm, and that's where chemicals are passed and information is communicated, and that sets off whole external things, right? So it's very intuitive, but it's very important that we maintain our sense of calm, let ourselves go out externally and express when we feel we need to, but also return back within and tend to self. That's pretty much the most important thing we can do over the next year, because there's going to be so much going on, and the differences that Tommy's spoken of, these two worlds, it's just going to seem like it's going to get larger and larger. I don't think he means like two actual different worlds, but it's two different mentalities out there of people that don't want to do this clearing and aligning and getting clearer and calmer. That they're not worried. They don't think about that stuff. Well, the THI is a group that does think about that stuff. We care. And caring and having compassion and empathy for each other is what's going to solve this whole problem. So
yeah, we kind of started in Cosmic Voice talking about doing the shadow work, and of course you took that up onto another level with the documents you did on that, which I think are in THI.
I put it in here. I'm pretty sure I did.
Yeah. So, if people are still struggling, refer to those documents. Do you remember the name of them so people can find them?
I will check the files. I also do have a simplified form of the energy centers document too, that I did work on that when I was back in Canada, because I wrote those things not to just help you all with stuff, but to help myself. I've updated them. I've simplified them, because that's also been my theme, is simple. Keep it simple.
Yeah, even the ones that that write the documents, sometimes, as we said earlier, people forget, the likes of Victoria and what she does, and Holly and Michael and myself and you and all the others that are involved have their own inner work to do, as well as the private life, and as well as the shows and the page and everything else. And sometimes it can be overlooked, not only by the listeners but also by the individual. As you get immersed in certain things, and sometimes you forget to take time for the self, which
yes.
I've been particularly guilty of. It's a drive and a passion of mine to keep going forward until we end this bullshit.
That is something that you and I both do. We tend to do for others so much that we forget to take care of ourselves. And that was one of our niggling arguments after a couple of years of entering your life, Tommy, was take care of yourself and try to take care of him, and him being stubborn. You know how men are, you ladies. Yeah. It's really important that we this is what I was saying about the wave, the internal organic wave of soul growth that's going on, that's clearing our energy centers, is that it's very important that we recognize the wave is also the in-breath and the out-breath. It is an internal and external. So, and the breath in is us receiving. The breath out is us giving. The breath in is us taking in. The breath out is us releasing. So we have to really put a mind to maintaining our center of balance and peace at this time, when potentially half the planet is going to go into chaos. And that means self-care. We all take care of each other. If we take care of each other, we can not worry about ourselves. But who's our own best doctor? Ourselves. So we can't let everyone do everything for us.
Yeah.
So it is important that we do take care of ourselves. And that is taking care of others, because that's just how it is. It's not being selfish, but sometimes when you are on that internal, that in-breath flow, you need to be selfish, not narcissistic, selfish, to get back to selfless. And that's kind of what I just did. And I'm back stronger. I'm just in a sort of meditative kind of zone thinking about stuff lately, so I've been quiet, and I changed my Facebook group so I didn't have to unfriend a bunch of family that I didn't want seeing posts that are coming. I have lots of stuff written down.
So 2017 is going to be, in my opinion, well, I think you shared some of it, is going to be rather exciting. But also, it's going to be, as mentioned earlier, testing times, but a nice testing times. Do you share those thoughts?
It will be nice testing times if we stay centered and calm and aren't beating ourselves up for, getting frustrated with some person that's not being authentic. I found my patience right now with inauthentic people is really low. And I'm kind of being hard on myself about that. So there's a personal example of one of those areas where I'm not taking care of myself. So we just kind of have to lighten our load on a bunch of things that, whatever it is that each of us is doing, because we're all different. Everybody's rabbit hole is different. Everyone's interests are different, which is great, because that's the part in us that can help each other see stuff we're not seeing, right? When we talk to each other. But so there's a lot of, it can be exciting if we're being easier on ourselves for sure, and stay centered. Yeah,
absolutely.
Don't let the sleeple people drive us crazy, because they will. They're going to get more stuck, and we're going to be more wanting to be free, and that's hard. That's really challenging. I think I can speak for others when I say that. What do you think? Yeah. You deal with it entirely differently than I do. It's like water off a duck's back to you. It blows me away. I wish I could do that.
Well, you said everyone's different. It's about everyone complementing each other. Different people bring different things to the table. There's no, I've mentioned many times on our show, there's no one saviour. You are the saviour. You, and every other one else that listens there. We can't sit around waiting for ETs to come and save us. They're not. They never were. That's part of the bullshittery that they've been feeding us. We can't sit around waiting for government to fix things. They're not there to fix things for us.
Nope.
So we save ourselves. And the important thing people have to remember is remember your own power.
Yeah, well,
Stop limiting yourself that you can't do this or you can't do that. Yes, you can.
Yeah, and this is the topic of one of the documents I've been writing, and it's one of the least finished ones, but I've certainly thought on it the most, and that's what is sovereignty, and it has to do with being balanced in your energy regulation, your self-care to your care of others. And it has to do with, we've been under a mind control program of God is savior, God is judgmental, God judges us and we die, when it's actually been just the opposite. It's us who at the Soul Review, we look at what we've accomplished in the last life, and we don't even judge ourselves. We just go, I didn't actually satisfy learning that well enough. So in my next life, I'm going to have this, and this condition with these people around me to help me learn, tick off that box on that soul learning, because I need to master that. That's not judgment. This is how they inverted it and twisted it, that some external thing is judging us. It's our own souls assessing our own learning curve with a goal in mind. And most of us are actually here to learn how to be creator beings. And you want to be very thorough if you're learning to be a creator being. You have whole planets or species at your responsibility. So, of course, we're kind of pretty, we didn't learn that, so I want to learn that lesson. Or I did learn that lesson in my last life, so I don't have that in my next life. I'm going to have this new one. I'm going to start working on this new thing. There isn't any judgment. But this inner wave that's been clearing our energy centers is bringing back up a backlog of stuff that I don't think that we've been able to get at until now. And it's kind of mind-blowing at times. Definitely the tones and frequencies and the energies have been externally very much assisting us, but also very challenging. Like it's coming from within and without. And your best bet is just to take up your favorite things to do and do them quietly until you feel calm, and then keep trucking, because it's just going to be a lot of growth. And the judgment programming of the religiosity that we're going to see happen, and the people that aren't conscious or even aware that they have a soul growth tick-off list is going to be pretty hard to deal with. And so that's my thing right now is teaching myself how to be sovereign again, remembering it in a thorough way. I'm in control. I'm my own savior. If I manage to save myself, I'm a shining example for anyone else to do it for themselves.
Yep.
And so,
absolutely.
So what's the word for this next year? Apocalypse for last year? Have you said it yet?
The unraveling.
The unraveling. Yeah. Well, there you go. It was it Tanath said the centering, her sister's centering practice was unraveling a knotted ball of yarn and re-rolling it up nice and neat. Or, or unraveling the Gordian knots of your programming,
Well, I kind of explained, I think, last week, if I got round to it, I can't remember now. Been a long week. 2016 revealed the onion that most people couldn't see. They suspected it was there, but people actually saw it for what it is. Now, what's took place over the year, and will increase more so next year, is the layers are being peeled back.
Yeah.
Now, the other analogy for next year, you're going to see a lot of news items and intel coming out is like a golf ball. For those of you who have dogs who like to chew the golf balls, when the skin comes off, there's a load of rubber bands.
And most people don't know those golf balls are so toxic. They're poisoning their dogs when they let them do that.
So,
sorry. I love dogs.
Once the first couple of rubber bands start peeling away, that golf ball has a life of its own, and the rubber bands start pinging everywhere. And that is what 2017 is going to be like. The news that's going to come forward, the revealings, the layers being peeled back are going to be enormous. No longer waiting for this to happen. It's just going to be bang, 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 bang. And so this is why over the last month or so I've been telling you, get in a calm state. You're going to need to be in it. Too much excitement is not good either.
Yeah, and don't beat yourself up if you fall off that bandwagon like I did either, because a good breakdown and you get into an even more calmer state.
Yep. Absolutely.
I'm laughing. It wasn't fun. I missed you, Tommy.
Right. Final thing to say before we go into a music break?
No. I love you. I love you guys in THI. Thanks for sticking by, Tommy.
Good. Right. It was nice to have you. I'm sure I haven't seen the Facebook page, but I know many members were missing you on the shows and on the page, so that's a nice bonus for us all tonight. And Chloe came back on and imparted her wisdom and knowledge, which I know many of you really enjoy listening to. Right, this is probably a good time to go and have a music break. I'm hoping we'll have one more guest coming on in the final hour. I may not get to questions tonight, because I've got a few more things I'd like to read out that's going to prepare people for 2017. And where are we now? This song is rather fitting for us all.
Talk to you later, guys.
Hi all, welcome back to the final hour this evening. I think everyone loves that song. I don't get tired of hearing it. Stick your new world order up your arse. Yep. And of course this year much of their new world order has collapsed. So thanks to during that hour to Holly, Chloe, Michael for their input this year, and let's not forget the two who couldn't come on tonight, James and Victoria. Thanks to them. Also, I need to thank the foundation people. They've provided, like I said earlier, a lot of the intel for the show and a background for us all to understand the bigger picture better. So special thanks to them. And also Sol X Tempest. She packages the show up into smaller bites, so it makes it easier to download each week. Even when sadly she had a very devastating personal loss last month, with the loss of her father in very tragic circumstances. And so special thanks to her, and I hope her recovery and pain is easing. It takes a while when you lose parents, particularly in that manner, and I'm sure all of us at THI wish her well. Right, the last few weeks I've been reading a book which I said I would continue to do so, and then eventually post on the page, because it's important for next year to grasp some of this. Some of it's already been covered in previous shows, and I'm going to go through a few more pages, and hopefully we'll have another guest coming on before the end of the show. We'll see how time fits in. But a reminder of last week: heaven is not a place you go to. It's a high level state of awareness and certainty. In this state, the individual is capable of making illusions of such a vivid and satisfying quality that he or she no longer depends on this universe for pleasure. It's important we grasp that. An illusion is merely a creation. And how could anything in any universe be anything but an illusion? Everything in every universe had to have been materialized by someone. It was said in previous shows, what you cannot imagine something that doesn't exist already. Or when you're having dreams and seeing bizarre creatures, or you're experiencing certain things of flying and all kinds of other stuff, they're not imagination, they're reality. And as time goes forward, the real reality of things that took place on this planet, and the real reality of organic life, will be far more prevalent in the coming years. We have or are returning largely back to the original organic planet, not the hologram, which is breaking down. And so that in itself tells you how we need to think of certain things in certain manners, and how our thoughts can manifest reality, some of which you won't like. People say, I have no luck. Well, you've just announced you have no luck, and so that's what you've brought upon yourself. It's about personal responsibility. So things that are brought into existence simply by envisioning them, everyone can do it. And I mean everyone. We've just forgotten. Some beings are able to practice it more than others, and so they achieve greater results. Beings in the physical universe aren't really confused about whether it's an illusion or not. Deep down inside, they suspect that it is. Once you become certain of it, then everything changes. People have three major problems. One is their mystery about where all the objects, space and energy came from. Two is how they themselves got there. And three is their inability to control those illusions easily. They don't think it's an illusion because it doesn't feel like an illusion. It doesn't feel like an illusion because it doesn't behave and obey their wishes and commands like an illusion normally does. Normally, an illusion would do exactly what you command it to do. But the physical universe doesn't behave like your typical illusion. It is very challenging and very stubborn. So we can't figure it out. Some would like it to stop raining, and it stops raining. You want the dog next door to stop barking, and he carries on barking. Some people want to win the big jackpot or the lottery, and they go home broke. Well, it doesn't obey their wishes because they've not been convinced enough to exercise their powers and control over it. I'll repeat that again because it's important. It doesn't obey their wishes because they've not been convinced not to exercise their own powers and have control over it. So now, instead of making things happen magically, instantly and without effort, everything is done slowly with machines. We've heard about this from Shane, in particular, the machine, the matrix, and physical effort. That's why it's called the physical universe. It's gotten too physical and too difficult to control. Now everyone needs games and challenges, but it's gotten out of hand here, big time. Success is too difficult to achieve, and when someone does achieve it, largely he can't keep it forever. It is said that there is nothing really big and important to strive for here. The prizes of that universe are small, or this universe, are small compared to what you can have if you restore your own universe. Each and every one of you has your own universe as part of the multiverse. And that's where we've forgotten who and what we are. Chloe mentioned earlier about many of us are learning here to be creator beings. I said last week, we used to go and play amongst the stars, moving stars about being stars, moving planets about creating solar systems, and we've reduced ourselves to looking through bits of pipe and mirrors and lenses to now view them. That's the descent. But the real truth is, you are never a body, a vessel, and you never have been. Of course, you can very easily pretend that you are the body, but it's only a pretense. Never pretend too hard on that one. It will get you into many problems. People think that when the body dies, their soul leaves the body. I hate to tell you this, but you do not have a soul. A soul is not something you have, it's something you are. I'll repeat that to make that clear. People think that when the body dies, their soul leaves the body. I hate to tell you this, but you do not have a soul. A soul is not something you have, it's something you are. You are the soul, and you are it. A long, long time ago, you didn't need a body. Like I said, you played among the stars, happy and free, long before bodies were invented. It was quite normal for you to move objects around without the aid of limbs and muscles. You simply levitated things from here to there. But I'm afraid that levitation is a thing of the past, except for being part of some magician's bag of tricks. Even telepathy is all but forgotten in the physical universe. I said this recently on a recent show. The spoken word was the descent of the human. We didn't need spoken words or consent or contracts or word magic. You can't lie with telepathy. So the descent was the spoken word. It has been replaced by anger and distrust. Perfect, well understood communication existed long before mouths, voices and hateful words were ever dreamed of. 1 trillion years would pass without a single pain or sorrow. Games were played where everyone would win. There was never a loser. Again, there's been the descent of man, competition between ourselves. I speak about this in the end piece of the show each week. It's destroying us. There was no need for uniforms with numbers to identify the players. You knew each other without the aid of bodies and names. You were immortals. You knew of nothing of agony, grief or failure. Before bodies, you knew nothing of restriction, limitation. You could span a galaxy with your touch, or embrace a planet with affection. You were creative, loving souls. By a mere thought, you could bring a planet into existence, or explode 1 million stars in a celebration to a loved one. You were carefree souls. You played new and exciting games, never a thought that your wisdom and immortality could or would be forgotten. But then bodies were invented and played with, much like wind-up toy animals or dolls. You were bigger first in comparison to these interesting animations. In the beginning, there was never a doubt that you existed outside and independent of these cute little animated toys called the body. Games started to be played with these new toys. They drew much attention. At first, the games were fun and harmless, but as the eons passed, the rules to the games became more and more complicated. Rules and restrictions made the games more exciting, more interesting, and sadly, more convincing. One rule which made history was each creature must eat and breathe to maintain activity. If it does not eat and breathe over a certain length of time, then it is disqualified. You now call this death. This rule affected the engineering of almost every animation. This rule about eating and breathing is an automatic necessity on Earth today. No one ever questions it or realizes that it was just a rule to add detail and fun to the game. The rule about eating turned out to be a bad rule, but it led to the killing of one creature by another. It was interesting to watch, but some of the owners got upset. Some of the beings didn't communicate as much as before. They spent their time improving their toys so they could better win at the contests and the battles. It was also about this time that various handicaps such as sleep and fatigue were introduced into the rules of the game. Now creatures had to have limited endurance and could get tired. This added wonderful and exciting new challenges to the games, and at first there was no evil intent, but the games progressed. The fascination with bodies continued. The improvements, in inverted commas, never stopped. Creatures were equipped so that they could automatically reproduce themselves without having to be manufactured individually. So those that doubt clones and that technology, thinking it's only played out here, no. It's been going on many, many eons. Many beings equipped their toys with better equipment, such as bigger teeth, stronger jaws, so that they could better destroy the enemy creatures. The fascination continued, and the souls communicated to each other less and less. They were getting too involved in the games. Details and rules were added to the engineering of the toys. They were designed to have a built-in self-destructive mechanism, now called a lifespan. The type of food they could eat was programmed into them. Rules were established about how fast each type of creature was permitted to reproduce. This rule helped maintain what you now call the balance of nature. A creature which was once indestructible was not much fun to play with, so every creature was programmed so that it was vulnerable to various things. Viruses and bacteria were invented. They helped add more challenge to the games. Almost every creature was provided with a programmed responses so that they knew what to do in times of danger. This programming was transferable from one generation to another. Most of the toys that were equipped so that they could remember friendly and hostile situations. Millions of varieties of creatures were invented. Anything from viruses to cabbage to apes. These creatures were super advanced, highly technical, biological animations. The ultimate in wind-up toys and dolls. They appeared to be very much alive and aware, but they weren't. Only a soul is alive and aware. The test of whether you are a soul is this: am I aware of being aware? If so, then you are not an animation. They were so well made that it was difficult to tell that they weren't actually alive. Every creature such a marvel of technical perfection that the beings no longer had to watch over them. In other words, they created a game where we all took each other out and they sat back and watched in amusement. The animations were self-perpetuating, totally automatic, living machines. Then the beings made a terrible, terrible mistake, the worst mistake in the history of the physical universe. They invented a new twist to the game. They decided to play a game by getting inside the toys. They invented a new twist to the game. They decided to play a game by getting inside the toys. In other words, the soul, instead of operating from the outside of the vessel, became part of it. And that is where we are today. But it came a very special game that everyone could then play. A special variety of toy was created just for this new game. It was a very special body known today as the human body. Human means higher universal man. Higher universal. It's a very pretty body. It gives wonderful sensations which encourage reproduction. They were happy and excited to play this new game, but they had to agree to certain rules which would severely limit their powers and awareness. The rules were you must reduce your size and stay inside the head until the body dies or approaches death. Only one body per player at one time. Well, they've decided to play with multiple bodies now, so that rule has changed drastically. No stealing of a body that has already been claimed. Again, they've broken that rule by using walk-ins. You must forget that you are a spiritual being. You must reduce your awareness to a certain level of intelligence and no more. If the body is hurt or attacked by disease, you must agree to feel the pain. Pain was invented to add detail and reality to the games. You must use the muscles and the motor controls of the body only. In other words, you can't use your mind or soul thought. Use of levitation or telepathy strictly forbidden. You must pretend wholeheartedly that you are that body. You must take the game seriously and stick to the rules no matter what. If one body is killed or died, you must immediately return to the game by picking up a new body as soon as one is available. That's the reincarnation loop. Get back into the game. The game is survival. See how long you can keep that one body going, no matter what. I will continue with the rest of this book in a later show, but I hope you grasped some of that. It's quite heavy, which is why I've done it in sections. It's basically telling us how far we've gone away from the real selves, our own reality of who and what we are. Keep saying, remember who you are. People get diseases and illnesses and think they can't overcome them because you've forgotten who you are. You can overcome anything. Now, yes, it may have been fun playing the game, but the AI system in this system hasn't been fun to anybody. And the danger of going down the technological route is all too clear in that last passage. As you'll always find someone will program and play games. We've had enough of playing games. We don't want to play games with this body. We want to go back to who and what we are. And this is the ultimate in freedom. Yes, you can be free from poverty and free from controlling governments and Nazis and factions and this and that. But that, in essence, they're a sideshow to who and what we are. A total sideshow. It's playing their game. From 2017 onwards, we should play our game, not theirs. where we return to see out this particular lifetime in a better manner than when we came in with. Many of us will see the return of the organic. Many of us are now experiencing the changes in the frequencies, the natural frequency, not the holographic overlay or the electric magnetic fields that keeps you in the game. No. Back to real reality, where we remember what we are. We don't have a soul, we are the soul. And consequently, we will get rid of the our souls. So we can play back amongst the stars again, back where we all came from. Some are native to here, some aren't. Eventually you'll all find that out. For some people that's a scary thought, but only because you've forgotten the self-imposed limitations we all put on ourselves. We can't do this, we can't do that. You can do anything. You put your mind and a belief and a passion to it. There is no limitations. That's what the members of the cabal know, the secrets. That's why they are successful in certain levels of the game. They know the secrets. We've had to learn it the hard way. And there's some benefits to that. It's not much fun going through it, absolutely not. But there's benefits of the scope of learning, which then can be put to good use as you go forward. If you keep taking the easy path, you're not really learning, are you? You're just existing. No longer should we allow ourselves to just exist. Far from it. That's their rules. Our rules, we create ourselves. So I hope that's given people something to think about. I'm probably going to read one more section of it maybe next week. And then I'll post it out on the page. I know some of you are aware of that book, of what it is. But it does explain things better than most of who and what and where we are. And also why. It's not all the cabal, as we call it. Some of it is our own stupidity. We enjoyed the games, but there's far better games to play than survival. We've had enough of playing the game of survival and existence. We want to play a game of joyous freedom, to be who and what we are. And once this year is over, and we've got 49 hours of it left, I would expect 2017 to start seeing some of the fruition to the changes that's going to take place. Some will happen because we have manifested them. Some will happen as part of natural cosmic law. But once you obtain a level of consciousness and you join like-minded people, and that becomes the collective, the consciousness takes over. That becomes free will. People often said, well, where's my free will? But when you've got so many people who are basically living zombies, who seem happy with the rules. Maybe those people, as suspected in recent shows, they're not even real. They're just synthetics created to muddy the waters of life. So it's more important now that you seek the like-minded people, get stronger together, go forward together. Let's not play competition games. My show's better than your show, or my car's bigger than yours, and it's all part of the sideshow. How much do I help others? And in turn, I then ask others to help others, and it snowballs on. That's the most important thing in life. We've lost values of real life. We think values are in material things. They're not. Sideshows to the game. Recognise them as such. Go through your own houses and belongings and see how many things you really need. Scale down. Do a garage sale or a car boot sale. Get rid of it. It's not there to help you. It doesn't make you happier because you've got the latest iPhone 63 or whatever number it is. No. What makes you happy is caring and sharing for other people. Seeing value in other people. People do drawings and they're never going to make loads of money because they haven't got a name. You know, I look at some of the Van Gogh paintings. To me, it's a pile of crap. But some clown decides that they're worth multi-millions. It's false value. Pieces of paper with numbers, with dollars or pounds or euros on. They're not real value. Lumps of metal out of the ground, be it gold, silver, platinum or anything else. They have no value. The value is always in the people. You can use all those items to, or should use those items to provide better life needs for the people. But ultimately, they don't have any value. Value is always in the people. We've forgotten that. Our group has largely booked the trend. What we need to do next year is expand it out. Get other groups to be the same. Caring and sharing, not competing. Right, where are we next? I'm probably going to... it appears the last guest is still in a meeting, so I'm going to finish off with something that is going to be for next year. I mentioned it earlier, the way showers. Now, there are people in our community, including in this group, that will be seen going forward as the way showers in the future. They have learnt most of the lessons in life and how to circumnavigate the system that's been put before us. Service to others in its truest form. All of these people will come to the fore as time moves on. Those people will become a beacon for the rest to follow, lean on, and gain comfort from. The way showers people resonate at a different frequency to most. Some came in from outside this system to help. Doesn't make them special, just different. It is their purpose for being here at this time to show humanity a different path to be on that is a more spiritual pathway and not divide and conquer, competitive, consumeristic, materialism path we are killing ourselves with currently. They had the ability to have the vision, the patience, calmness, non-judgmental approach that will guide humanity to see a different path, see through the illusion and set our life paths on different courses. Recognize who they are, it might be you, and align with them. They're here to help. 2017, like I said earlier, will be the year of the unraveling. 2016 allowed people to see the onion, and now the layers will be peeled back. The Intel, as I said earlier, will be like removing the plastic skin off a golf ball, revealing a bundle of elastic bands. Once the first few come off, it then will have a life of its own and start pinging in all directions. Be aware when that starts. It's going to be fun, but it's also going to be difficult to process. 2017 will also see an increase in the passing of what is termed on this planet as famous people. You've started seeing it already. It will increase. At this point, a steady increase of ET disclosure. We may get an announcement of life found light years away as the precursor to something more closer to home. 2017 will also see the full launch of the People's Club Foundation, and I expect to see more of you in person next year. 2017 will also likely be a release of some healing technology. But I have to warn you about some of the tech. I keep mentioning this recently because the certain tech, healing tech, that's not conducive to humanity in any shape or form. And we and the people who are helping around the world will do the utmost to prevent those machines being released. One of the healing techs offers will include getting in pods. If it's cabal released, this is a soul trap and a convert to an inorganic lifestyle again. Magellan's is the trigger for the interface in the pods. It's not something to be overly worried about, but it's something that needs to be said to make people aware. You know, they've thrown all kinds at us and we think, oh, this is going to be great. Not everything that's new or technological is great. We've failed many times because of our misuse of technology. And I'm hoping in 2017 we start reining that back in. We should have some sort of government or private oversight committee analysing the new technology. Does it make me more human or does it not? If it doesn't, it should be scrapped permanently. That's my opinion, and each person has their own opinion on that, but it's also, I feel, is my duty to make people aware, particularly of that healing tech. We are organic, and we are heading back into the full organic system, out of the holographic. Organic beings in an organic setting can heal themselves once you remember who you are. So technically we don't really need healing tech. In a full organic setting, your healing powers return. (2016) was a tough year in some aspects to deal with, but refreshing in many others. Cabal framework started to come apart at the seams. They may think it will just trim their fat, but it won't. What we've gained this year is many new alliances have been formed. Many out of the cabal system have stepped down and are now actually helping us. That's a major plus for us, as it allows us to move quicker to where we want to be. 2017 is coming up, 48 hours or so away, soon upon us, and many ask, what can I do? My advice is to stay on your own path. Don't let anyone divert you at this current time. Continue with your inner work, the benefits of which will be multiplied 1,000-fold as we go forward. Avoid fear porn altogether. It is a trap for you. Recognize who's doing it and drop that site off your computer or your phones altogether. We don't need those people in the community. Once they're not getting the recognition or the notoriety, they will soon learn that tactic no longer washes with people anymore and will disappear. Listen more to your intuition. It's more important now than ever. Take time to find peace within yourself. Operate not from the mind, but from the heart. Be more caring. Do a spring clean of your life. What you actually need in life. Do you really need all them material things? A new car, new phone, bigger house? Or do you want to step out of their game of competition and come into a more caring, sharing world? Take more trips out in nature instead of spending on material things. It's far more rewarding. Stay grounded, centered, and away from unbalanced ego or unbalanced states. Be calm even in the midst of chaos is the way shower's way. 2016 has brought a realization for many. The saviours are not now or in the future going to be ETs. It never was, and is another false path the cabal have laid before you. We save ourselves. We have always been the saviours. With a will, a belief and a passion in a collective force, that is what we will succeed in doing. Be safe, be strong, be prepared, and never let anyone put you in any fear. I think on that note I'm going to end the show. It's a powerful message for you all. I thank each and every one of you for contributing to this show and Cosmic Voice, and we go into 2017 in a better position, a far better position than we did in 2016. Use that time. Enjoy it. At the end of the day, you're always learning. Even in sad times, you learn more about yourself. The benefits of which going forward will increase exponentially. So if you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free for you to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. And you are not here to be abused or to compete with your friends, family or neighbours. You are here to be the best you can be, and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are, and excel in yourself, and in do so inspire others. Thank you for joining us this year. Like I said, I think we'll have far more exciting shows coming up in 2017, and I hope you all join me in those. Like I said, I'm hoping to get to meet many of you in person next year via the foundation work. And have a good New Year's celebration. And thanks for everyone for being part of the show. My name is Thomas Williams. Bye for now.